Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, welcome to this video. And today in this video we're going to present you language and social variation. Before we begin, I would like to introduce you to my group first. We're from group 10 and the members are Diah Ayu Istiqomah, Gaisa Zahira Sofa, Salsabil Nasifah Putri, and me, Tito Aryo Wicaksono. Okay, let's begin. When we study language and regional variation, we focus on variation in language use found in different geographical areas. However, not everyone in a single geographical area speaks in the same way in every situation. We recognize that certain uses of language are more likely to be used by some individuals in society and not by others. We are also aware that the fact that people who live in the same region but who differ in terms of education and economic status often speak in quite different ways. Right, indeed. These differences may be used implicitly or explicitly as indication of membership in different social groups or speech communities. Speech communities. It is a group of people who share a set of norms and expectations regarding the use of language. The study of linguistic features that have social relevance for participants in those speech communities is called sociolinguistics. Sociolinguistics. The term sociolinguistic is used generally for the study of the relationship between language and society. This is a broad area of investigation that developed through the interaction of linguistics with a number of other academic disciplines. First, it has strong connection with anthropology through the study of language and culture. Second, with sociology through the investigation of the role language plays in the organization of social groups and institutions. Third, it is also tied to social psychology, particularly with regard to how attitudes and perception are expressed and how in-group and out-group behavior are identified. We use all this connection when we try to analyze language from a social perspective. And the next material will be presented by my friend.
Okay, thank you for the time. I will explain about social dialect. We use all this connection when we try to analyze language from a social perspective. Whereas the traditional study of regional dialect tend to concentrate on the speech of people in rural areas. The study of social dialect has been mainly concerned with speakers in towns and cities, a variety of language that reflect social variants in language use. According to certain factors related to the social group of the speakers such as education, occupation, income level. In the social study of dialect, it is social class that is mainly used to define a group of speakers as having something in common. For example, working class speech. The terms upper and lower are used to further subdivide the groups. Education and occupation. A personal dialect is a dialect, an individual way of speaking. However, we generally tend to sound like others with whom we share similar educational background and or occupation. Among those who leave the educational system at an early age, there is a general pattern of using certain forms that are relatively infrequent in the speech of those who go on the completed college. Those who spend more time in the educational system tend to have more feature in their spoken language that derive from a lot of time spent with the written language. The observation that some teacher talks like a book is possibly a reflection of an extreme form of this influence from the written language after years in the educational system. As adults, the outcome of our time in the educational system is usually reflected in our acceptance on socio-economic status. The way bank executives as opposed to window cleaners talk to each other usually provide linguistic evidence for the significance of the social variable. In the one of the earliest study in sociolinguistics, Labov combined elements from place of occupation and socio-economic status by looking at the pronunciation difference among salespeople in the three New York City department stores. There were 1, 6 Fifth Avenue, 2 Mix, 3 Cleans. Labov went into each of the stores and asked salespeople specific questions, such as where are the women's shoes, in order to elicit answer with the expression fourth floor. This expression contains two opportunities for the pronunciation, or not, of postphonic. Strictly speaking, it is R after vowel and before a consonant or the end of a word. 3. The higher the socio-economic status of the store, the more sounds were produced, and the lower the status, the fewer sounds were produced by those we work there. So the frequency of occurrence of the linguistic variable R could mark the speech sample as upper middle class versus middle class, working class. Social makers. A language feature was used rhetorically with the both social group and speech style. Speakers are aware of such form and their group association, but don't comment upon them. There are pronunciation features that function as social makers. 1. Feature is the final pronunciation of ing with rather than at the end of words such as sitting and drinking. Pronunciation represented by sitting and drinking are typical associated with working class speech. Another social marker is called dropping, which makes the word at the head sound the same. It occurs at the beginning of word and can result in utterance that sound like I'm so angry I could add on ours. In complementary English, this feature is associated with lower class and less education. This feature seems to have had a similar association as social. And then speech style and style shifting. Speech style is a social form of language use. It also called the way of speaking. Style shifting is a change from one speech style to the other by an individual. An individual speaker changes his style often. There are no single style speaker, and the context of the speech influence style shifting an individual. The most basic distinction in speech style is between formal use and informal use. Formal style, carefully style, the speaker pays more carefully attention in the speech. It is also called carefully style. And informal style, casual style, the speaker pays less attention in the speech. It is also called casual style. Laboy study when he asked us salespeople at first, the repeatedly tend to be casual, but when he said "excuse me" in order to elicit a repetition of the same expression, which was pronounced with more attention to being clear and more formal. Finding from other studies confirm that the middle class speakers are much more likely to shift their style of speaking significantly towards upper middle class when they are using carefully speech style. And will be next with my friend.
Prestige. In discussing style shifting, the idea of a prestige forms as a way of explaining the direction in which certain individuals change their speech. The types of prestige. First, over prestige. When the change is in the direction of a form that is more frequent in the speech of those perceived to have higher social status, we are dealing with over prestige, or status that is generally recognized as better or more positively valued in the larger community. Second, covert prestige. This hidden status of a speech style as having positive value might explain why certain groups do not exhibit style shifting to the same extent as other groups. For example, we might ask why many lower working class speakers do not change their speech style from casual to careful as radically as lower middle class speakers. The answer may be that they value the feature that marks them as members of their social groups, and consequently avoid changing them in the direction of features associated with another social group. Speech accommodation. As we look more closely at variation in speech styles, we can see that it is not only a function of speakers' social class and attention to speech, but it is also influenced by their perception of their listeners. It is defined as our ability to modify our speech style toward or away from the perceived style of the persons we are talking to. We can adopt a speech style that attempts to reduce social distance, described as convergence, and use forms that are similar to those used by the person we are talking to. Example: "Come on, Tony, give a look," or "Excuse me, could I have a look at your proposal too, Mrs. Hall?" In the first example, he is talking to his friend, and in the second example, he is talking to his friend's mother. The request is essentially the same, but the style is different, as the speaker converges with the perceived speech style of the others. In contrast, when a speech style is used to emphasize social distance between speakers, the process is called divergence. We can make our speech style diverge from another's by using forms that are distinctly different. Example: teenager: "I can do it, sir." Teacher: "Oh, come on, if I can do it, you can too." Teenager: "Look, I can edit it so." Register and jargon. A register is a conventional way of using language that is appropriate in a specific context, which may be identified as situational, example encourage, occupational, example among lawyers, topical, example talking about language. One of the defining features of a register is the use of jargon, which is special technical vocabulary, example plaintiff and suffix, associated with a specific area of work or interest. In social terms, jargon helps to create and maintain connection among those who see themselves as insiders in some way and to exclude outsiders. Slang. Slang or colloquial speech describe words or phrases that are used instead of more everyday terms among younger speakers and other groups with special interests. Slang is more typically used among those who are outside established high status groups. For example, the word bucks for dollars or money has been a slang expression for more than 100 years, but the addition of mega or a lot of in megabucks is a more recent innovation. Like clothing and music, slang is an aspect of social life that is subject to fashion, especially among adolescents. It can be used by those inside the group who share ideas and attitudes as a way of distinguishing themselves from others. As a maker of group identity during a limited stage of life such as early adolescence. Slang expression can grow old rather quickly. For example, older forms for really good, such as groovy, hip, and super were replaced by awesome. The difference in slang used between groups divided into older and younger speakers shows that age is another important factor involved in social variation. For the next material about vernacular will be explained by Dia Ayu.
Okay, thank you for the time. I will continue to explain about vernacular or AAVE. So what do you know about AAVE? What is AAVE? Today, Ebonics is known as African American Vernacular English or AAVE. It is considered by academics to be a specific way of speaking within the larger categorization of African American English, or AAE or Black English. AAVE specifically refers to the form of the Black speech that distinguishes itself from standard English with its unique grammatical structure, pronunciation, and vocabulary. The term vernacular has been used since the Middle Ages, first to describe local European languages, or the term vernacular has been used since the Middle Ages, first to describe local European languages, or low prestige in contrast to Latin, high prestige, then to characterize any non-standard spoken version of language used by a lower status group. So, the vernacular is a general expression for a kind of social dialect, typically spoken by a lower status group, which is treated as non-standard because of the marked differences from the standard language. Okay, and then the origins of AAVE. The origins of AAVE are not clear. Some theories consider AAVE to be a surviving form of an 18th century English. Nothing that strengthened rules governing subject-verb agreement are not recent development, and that the syntax of older English matches the speech patterns of modern AAVE. This idea is supported by AAVE's similarity to accents of the American South, which represent the accents of the white Indian tourist servant from enslaved African worked alongside a plantation. Okay, other propose that AAVE matches the grammatical structure or pronunciation of West African languages and Creole English varieties, pointing the perspective cultural group as the origins of AAVE. Regardless of origin, AAVE is usually negatively represented in white-dominated professional speech, such as politics and academia in the United States. Historically, AAVE has been regarded by many sectors. Okay, and then the sounds of AAVE. A pervasive phonological features in AAVE and other English vernaculars is the tendency to reduce final consonant clusters, so that the words ending the two consonants left hand are often pronounced as if there is only one left hand. This can affect the pronunciation of past tense ed. It forms in certain contexts with the expressions such as iced tea and I passed the test, sounding like iced tea and I passed the test. Initial gentle consonants, think, that, are frequently pronounced as a low-fuller, stop, ting, and tap, with the result that the definite article the is heard as the. For example, as in Udaman. Other morphological features such as possessive or as John's girlfriend and the third person singular as she loves him are not typically used John's girlfriend and she loves him. Also, when the phrase contains an obvious indication of plural number, the plural as marker, guys, friend, is usually not included to guy or one of my friend. Okay, and then AAVE's grammar. It is typically an aspect of grammar that AAVE and other vernaculars are the most stigmatized as being illegible or sloppy. One frequently criticized element is the double negative construction, as in he don't know nothing or I ain't afraid of no ghost. Because the negative is expressed twice, the structures have been condemned as illegible since one negative supposedly cancels the others. Yet, these features of AAVE can be found in many other English dialects and in other languages such as French. Il ne sait rien, literally, he knows nothing. The sloppy criticism focuses on the frequent absence of forms of the verbs to be or it's in AAVE expressions such as you crazy or she's working now. It may be more accurate to say that wherever are and is can be constructed in the casual style of other varieties you are or she's. They are not articulated in AAVE. While AAVE speakers don't include the auxiliary verb, it is in expressions such as she working now to describe what is happening currently. They can be used not is, as in she be working downtown now, as a way of expressing habitual action. That is, the presence or absence of be distinguishes between what is recurring activity or state or what is currently happening. Okay, to talk about habitual action that started or happened in the past, AAVE uses been or typically stressed, not was as in she been working there. In effect, the use of habitual be or been and the absence of verb of to be in present status expression are all consistent features in the grammatical of AAVE. The negative version of this verb are formed with don't, not doesn't, and the verb is not used with the constructed negatives. So in AAVE, she don't be working in grammatical, whereas she doesn't be working, and she been working would be considered ungrammatical. Okay, maybe that's all for me. Thank you.